You've been sober for 36 years. Have you ever been tempted to drink?
Well, yes. It's not that I've been tempted to drink. It's that I've fallen into the traps because I haven't taken care of, the essential pillars of not drinking. And those are staying away from people, places, and things, making sure one doesn't get too hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. And I had a major incident actually um, 4 years ago when I was 32 years sober. I had gone through quite a few years of having a lot of health crises. I'd had breast cancer, major surgery. I had fallen and broken quite a few bones. I'd gone through chemotherapy. I'd had heart surgery. All sorts of things had happened to me. Anyway, I was recovering from a broken knee, and I'd had surgery on this knee, and I was invited to an Epicurean dinner in Kentucky. And I was on crutches, but I accepted the invitation, and I went down to Kentucky primarily because I was interested at that time in riding, and it was going to be a whole horsey crowd there, so I wanted to go to this particular dinner. And it was a very grand affair at a very grand house. And the whole point of it was an Epicurean dinner, fine foods and fine wines. So I took care of myself, so I thought. I called the host before I went and I said, look, I can't have alcohol in any form. I can't have it in a glass. I can't have it cooked in anything. I can't have it in dessert. I just have to stay away from it entirely. So when I got there at the dinner, the my situation had been taken care of very well. There was everyone else had a battery of wine glasses at their setting. I just had this rather large goblet, which was constantly filled with Pellegrino water. And I noticed that my neighbours' meals were sometimes slightly different from mine because their sauces were different from mine. So there were maybe about 18 people at this dinner, and it was very elegant, beautiful table with floral arrangements and silver candelabra and silverware and um, cut glass um, cut glass dishes and beautiful porcelain plates, and just it was exquisite, absolutely exquisite. The host sat at one end and the hostess sat at another, and I was on the right-hand side of the host. And how it worked was there were five chefs, and the chef would come out and explain why he or she had prepared this meal, or how they had prepared this particular morsel that we were about to eat, and why he or she had chosen the particular wine that went with that. Well, we're going along and everything's fine, and we get to a pasta dish, and the wine is poured, my Pellegrino is poured, and suddenly the woman sitting opposite me turns to the host and says, "Oh, Fred," that wasn't his name, of course, "this wine is fantastic. All the wines have been great, but this one in particular is amazing." And the host responds and says, "Oh, yes, it is good," and he explains how it came out of his own cellar, and the two of them are rhapsodizing about this wine. And suddenly she looks across the table to me, and she says, "Lorna, are you not drinking?" Now, why she hadn't noticed I wasn't drinking before, I don't know, because I notice what everyone's drinking. But I said to her, "No," I said, "as a matter of fact, I'm not drinking." And she said, "Well," she said, "I don't usually drink, but this wine is so phenomenal, and what it does to the pasta is extraordinary. Now, by this time, the disease is slithering across the table and slithering around the silver candelabra and over my dishes, and it comes up against my bosom and nuzzles against my cheek, and it whispers in my ear, "Lorna, this would not be a slip. You don't want to lose your sobriety. Of course you don't want to lose your sobriety, and you wouldn't be losing your sobriety. You just want to enhance the pasta." And, you know, they say in the recovery literature that there will come a time when nothing stands between you and a drink except your higher power. And in that moment, my higher power was in the form of all the thousands of people who've gone before me, and potentially all those that will come after me. And without any kind of determination within myself or my mind or anything, I put my cutlery down and leant back in the chair, and I could so easily have said to one of the waiters, and there were many, "I changed my mind, I'd like to taste that wine." But I didn't. And I didn't think, I didn't feel that I was in any danger. That's what was so awful about it. I didn't think, oh, you know, I better be careful, I'm on thin ice, this is a dangerous place for me. Didn't think anything like that at all. And I just sat there, and the moment passed. I didn't order the wine, and then I pushed myself forward, picked up the fork, and continued eating. And the next day, I was packing to come back to New York, and that scene went before my mind, and I broke down and I wept. I couldn't believe how close I'd come. And, you know, I think it's sort of much like the serpent must have talked to Eve, did not say, you know, you're going to be committing a sin. It's that you don't want to commit a sin. You just want to enhance your knowledge and your, you just want to have a deeper experience of your setting here. And anyway, what was so alarming was that I wasn't alarmed. That's what was so alarming. I always thought that a slip was going to come, that there'd be people standing on barricades, sort of much like the scene in Les Mis where they're on the barricades holding back the hordes, and people would be waving signs like it's the first drink, or think the drink through, or, you know, all the signs saying stop, 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 you know, you're in danger. But it didn't come at me like that. It just slithered through the barricades. And on reflection, because I thought about it massively, of course, it really disturbed me that, you know, when one first gets sober, one is told to be very careful about actual alcohol, the physical thing, to get it out of the house, to read labels, to don't go into bars, to all the things where the actual liquid. And then as one gets more sober, one is encouraged to take care of the foundation of one's life, like one leads a more respectable, spiritual-based life, and making amends, meditation and prayer and things like that. And I'd been through many surgeries. I'd been under anesthesia 5 times, which is very difficult for an alcoholic, because first of all, they have to practically kill me to knock me out, and then I don't want to come back out of it after surgery. And so I had sort of dropped the physical. I dropped the taking care of my vehicle, of my physical body. And, you know, in typical sort of alcoholic British fashion, I'd gone through major surgery and been like, oh, well, all right, that's that, and I'll pull myself up on my bootstraps and get on with it. Stop making a fuss. about having a double mastectomy or something, or breaking your knee or having heart surgery. Just get on with it. And I sort of negated the physical, and I negated the fact that I have a mental, physical, and spiritual disease. And as the years had gone on, I'd concentrated more on the mental and the spiritual part of recovery. But it was a close call, and it was an incident that I keep very close to my heart. I reflect on it often. I tell the story often, because I think it is so helpful to others. To, you know, people sometimes think, God, you're 36 years sober and you still are practicing all the elements of recovery. And yes, I have to. I have to because I want to, because my life is very big and very expanded and very beautiful and interesting, because I don't drink.